Call the meeting of the Mitchell County Board of Supervisors to order. We have an agenda before us. I'll ask if there's any additions, corrections, changes.
I have none.
I have none. Make a motion to approve this.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carried. Item 2, County Attorney General discussion. We're going to discuss generals this morning.
There's the watershed agreement, that
Oh, sure.
resolution, which looks fine to me.
Okay, yeah, that's
The resolution looks fine, the agreement hasn't been finalized yet, but the resolution looks fine, which just says we will sign it when it gets finalized.
For the watershed?
Yes,
Okay. Yeah, that's on the agenda here.
so that's fine.
And just a little heads up, last night at our COG meeting, apparently the state of Iowa has, I think it was the Iowa Flood Center, they have received $8.8 million for working on 4 watersheds, and this one is one of them, and that's in addition to this agreement we're trying to set up. So it sounds like it'll be about a 4-year project that this monies will be working in our area to try to come up with solutions on floods and that, so just a little heads up.
I don't have anything else right now. I mean, I keep getting agreements between, you know, and then before you even get a chance to read them, 2 hours later you get a revised one, and then, so I've just quit reading them until I, you know, hopefully get a final draft one, because it doesn't make any sense to just read and get revised once 2 hours later, and revised 2 hours later.
What about item 11 here, memorandum of understanding for the proposed gas line, or is that what you're referring to?
No, that was that Valent project. The gas line, I had sent Stan an email, some things I wanted included in that, and I don't know where they are on that, making those.
I talked to Rick yesterday afternoon, and he forwarded it to the attorney, and so as soon as the attorney's done, we should get another.
Yeah, and like I said, this is just kind of a memorandum of understanding. It really doesn't mean anything. It's just, you just try and get as many things worked out now, so you're not fighting about them when you get down to the final thing. Other than that,
Okay, I got one thing that I'd like to bring up, since there'll be up ones here. Had a gentleman in the community tell me, where did we leave that ordinance number 41? The steel wheels.
well, I don't have the ordinance book in front of me, so there was the original ordinance, which said all steel wheels are banned. Then, a while after that, I became a little concerned that the Supreme Court might say, wait a minute, your ban is too broad. You know, even though we banned all of them, because the testimony was all steel wheel vehicles do damage, so we banned all of them. Then there was another ordinance, we changed that ordinance so that it said any steel wheel tractor that does damage. So that's the ordinance right now.
Okay, well,
One of them was rescinded, the original one that went up to the Supreme Court was rescinded, and that one said all steel wheel tractors. The new ordinance in effect basically says exactly the same thing as the other one, but it says all steel wheel tractors that do damage to roads.
okay, well, the reason I bring this up is because a person in the county got it from another person that said that a deputy told him that we do not have to pick up the steel wheel people anymore. And I said, I'll bring it up when Kurt comes over, but Kurt didn't come over, Jeff did, so I don't know if there's any truth to that or not, but that's what he was told, that a deputy told him.
Didn't come from our office.
Well, I know, right after that, you said, you know, continue on, the new ordinance is in effect, so.
In fact, I've been in contact with the Iowa Department of Transportation, and they're aware that if we write any more citations, they're also gonna be written underneath the Iowa code, and they said, we're gonna be up there at the hearings presenting testimony on why the Iowa code portion of it is constitutional. So they've got their studies from back when the original studies were done, and they provided me with copies of those. And they said they're gonna be up here when that thing gets challenged. The Department of Transportation, either through their department or through the Attorney General's department, defending the state law. Because they're both gonna be challenged.
Well, I have gotten phone calls from farmers out in that area too that say the same thing. They're up and down the road all the time, so.
I can prosecute them.
Can we get a traffic camera up out there?
Jeff?
I don't know.
I
We
don't know.
haven't gotten any complaints. The last
Well, they're
complaint
all
that
afraid
came to our
call the
office
sheriff's
was,
department, and I don't know why that is, but they know my number.
well, the last one that came into our office, turned out it wasn't even a steel wheel, it was a track. So there was, other than that, I don't believe, I haven't had any, on my shifts. But I don't know about the other guys, but that's the only one I've seen.
Well, next time they call, I'll tell them to make sure they call.
Yeah.
Don't call me, call the sheriff's
You
department immediately.
Yep.
You know.
That's what the ad in the paper said.
Well, I
Call the
know,
sheriff's
but
department.
you know how that goes. Most people can't read. You
Oh,
know,
they can.
well, they can read, but they don't.
Most people don't wanna get involved.
That's
is what the
exactly
problem is.
right, you know.
They wanna complain, but they don't wanna be involved.
But I didn't know if there was any truth to that or not, if you've heard that.
I have not heard that.
Okay. So
And it didn't
we'll
come from me, so.
Right, and I don't like getting things third, fourth, fifth party either, you know. Somebody getting over here and.
Yep.
So, anyway, that was what I wanted to bring up this morning, just to let everybody know that. But I did go by the auction yesterday, and I don't believe seen a steel wheel tractor anywhere. Tons of pickups and cars and. So, anyway. Anything else?
Nothing else for Mark?
Okay, good.
No news is good news, eh?
Yeah.
No, we'll try to clean our plate up a little bit here for,
Good, thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Item number 3, wastewater treatment facility update.
I emailed a couple of you guys and Lowell, when Valent is grading our site, their site, they took our site out, so we had to come up with a quick grading plan, and the email I sent out was that this is something we got to get done now before we're doing this tank work we've been talking about starting at the end of the month here. And what I was wondering was, I need some direction from you folks. There's a couple choices. One, we could hand it off to Pops. It's about between $35,000 and $45,000 worth of work. 2, we can bid the project out or get quotes. And I'm just looking for how you guys want to handle that, so I can turn this around pretty quickly. Because what they're going to do is when they grade their site, they're going to leave a hole where our site is, and a hole where the Heartland Power site is. And we can't build our tanks with the site being 2.5 feet low. So we got to get that fixed before my first project actually comes out. So a little bit of a snafu, but that's kind of where we're at.
Well, on the 45,000, I think that's under
Yeah,
the amount that you have to go out for bids on.
Okay.
what would be your recommendation?
Well, I would recommend that we would go that route. I mean, in my personal opinion, just because they're already out there, I don't know that there could be a whole lot of cost savings. And when they work, they'll be working in large straight lines. If we hire somebody else, they're going to be working in a confined small space. So I guess just intuitively, I would think that it would be more cost effective to let them do bulk work versus short work.
Yeah, just let Pops take it over.
Yeah.
I'd make a motion that we do that, if we needed it in motion.
Yeah,
And we're
whatever.
spending money, so I guess we should.
Yeah, whatever we need from you guys to do that.
Second,
I have a motion and a second to authorize Pop, was it excavating?
Yep.
To bring the wastewater treatment site up to grade along with the rest of the Balin project.
Okay.
Roll call vote, Volklander?
Aye.
Mark?
aye.
Morrell, aye. Motion carried.
Is Rich gonna be here today, Albion?
supposed to be
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
Oh, okay, I'm probably gonna miss him. I've talked to Rich before, I wanna fill the ditch in front of this site, gives us more room to work and things like that. And I was wondering, to help save some costs, if he had, some culvert pipe that we could put in that the county already owns versus having a contractor purchase it and put it in. So I'll give Rich a call later on, just work out that detail with him, and,
They may have something sitting out there.
yeah, cause from what Kurt Pop said, that you guys typically buy a whole bunch of that stuff at one crack. And, that'd be the cheapest way to get that in there if we were gonna do
For
that.
that ditch.
Yep.
out there.
So I'll talk with Rich later on today. And then one last note, as I mentioned, we're gonna go out for bids with the first, be the second phase of the project now, this tank stuff. So what I'm gonna do, cause I'm not exactly sure how you guys do business compared to a municipality. So what I'll do, what I normally do is I prepare, a bunch of resolutions and schedules and stuff like that and all the public notices for my clients and let their attorneys look them over. So what I will do is I'll continue that, I'll forward it to Lowell and to Mark, and you guys proceed at how you guys would normally proceed. So if I put together a resolution that sets bid dates, if you guys don't use the resolution, you just change it to whatever you need, but you will be notified of the steps that I need the county to take as I submit those to Lowell and Mark. So you guys always be up to speed. How you use them will be just how you do business, okay? So, but we'll lead you all the way through it. I don't expect you guys to do any work other than get the authorizations and get things going, so we'll take care of everything else, okay? And that's it, otherwise things are still on track. I will be here, let's see here, 27, probably the 29th of those bid packages and setting the bid dates and all stuff like that. And again, I will forward that all to Lowell and Mark, and we'll be on our way with I'll do the second phase now, but the big money one, so. Alright.
Pop's already started grading out there.
No, they did some small, short work. He said he wouldn't probably get to the main grading stuff till the last half of this week. So the timing was good. I wanted to make sure you guys get in front of it.
Will this added expense out here be in your cost estimate for the project?
It wasn't in the beginning. There might have been enough fluff in the beginning. It's not much, comparatively speaking.
Well, if we're gonna save $1.5 million,
Yeah.
just buying the equipment, I'm sure we can absorb that.
Right, I mean, you're right. I think overall that it's nothing to be concerned about at the moment. Yeah, if it would have been a lot more grading, say $250,000, I probably wouldn't say that. But it's a pretty small amount, so. Okay.
Anything else we can think of that might come up?
No, once we get the site graded, then we're completely free and clear of them guys. All my other work is to their design right now, which means that, for example, the pipes, they just kind of stubbed out their buildings. We were gonna pick it up from there anyway, so far nothing else has changed. I think this is the only thing that really kind of blew me. I tried to work out Luke, but they just asked if we would take care of it, so whatever. But, so that's kind of where we're at. Alright, I'm gonna probably be back next week anyway to give you another quick update, and then the 29th will be some good decision making.
So we're still running quite a few months ahead of schedule, I think.
I think so. The big delay, and I'll tell you what, it's starting to concern me actually, is the DNR side on the Osage wastewater plant. We had a kickoff meeting with them folks back in January, February. I submitted some design information to them. It took them a month to get back to me on that, and I submitted it again at the beginning of April. Well, I haven't heard anything since then. I submitted a follow-up email 2 weeks ago asking what the status of that was, and I have not gotten anything back on that yet. So today I'll be sending out, I don't know if I want to call it my final email, but I'll copy the people that need to know about it on there. So that's starting to concern me. This stuff at the Valence site is not. That's all going at a good pace. We had a little slowdown doing borings last week because of the rain, but other than that, we're going good here. And that was always my concern with the DNR to begin with. I mean, that's the way it goes down there. So it's not major now, but there might be a point where, you know, we've had to do this in the past, where the concerned stakeholders, which is you guys, maybe we have to have a conversation with some of those guys and see what is going on. I don't think it's quite there yet, but just to let you know that I may need your help at some point. So that's where we're at.
Okay,
Alright.
thanks a lot, Tom.
You guys have a great day. We'll see you later, and Lowell, I'll be sending you some stuff. Alright, take care, guys. See you, Jeff.
See you later, Tom.
Okay, should we get to to approve the sheriff's report for April. Jeffrey's here.
What kind of population you running the last couple of weeks?
You know, to be honest with you, Stan, I haven't been on that side of the jail or that side of the building since my week started. I have had a very full plate, so I haven't been in there, so I honestly can't tell you. So, I know they're bringing one over for court today, and I don't know who else is in there. So, I apologize, I just haven't, I just haven't been in there.
It's all right, Jeff, we get the report.
Couple of them in there. $2,759.70.
I'd make a motion to approve the sheriff's report.
Second?
Have a motion and a second to approve the sheriff's report for April 2012. Roll call vote. Volklander.
Aye.
Buck.
Aye.
Morel, aye. Motion carried. Thank you, Jeff.
You bet. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you.
How many copies do you need?
2.
I see there's 3 of them in.
One extra. No, 2 usually. One for the file and one for the treasurer.
Jump down to approval of the minutes.
I read them,
I read them, just like I remember.
so move.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the minutes of Tuesday, May 8th, 2012. Roll call vote. Walk.
Aye.
Volklander.
Aye.
Morel, aye. Motion carried. Item number 7, approval of Upper Cedar River watershed agreement. County attorney said that was okay to proceed.
And just a note again, basically, right now there is no request for any funding from any of the counties or cities. It's all either coming down from the state or the feds, so, and like I say, there's another grant out there that looks like it's gonna be a big one that really is going to be a very complete study here in the next 4 years, so. And that will not be part of, I mean, it may get combined somehow, but right now it's not part of this.
Sure. I think it's a good thing.
Make a motion to approve.
Second?
We have a motion and a second.
Watershed agreement?
We have a motion and a second to approve the Upper Cedar River watershed agreement. Roll call vote. Volklander.
Aye.
Walk.
Aye.
Morel, aye. Motion carried.
Morning, Engineer Brown.
Morning. You ready for me already?
We're ready for you, Rich.
All right.
Item number 5, county engineer update.
Start off with the good news first, right? I tried calling every one of you yesterday. We had, another blow-up section on Primrose. The heat expanded the concrete, launched another stretch. This time it was north of Jonas Lead, south of that, is it Rodney Cook that lives there? Same situation, moisture underneath the road. Paving Association's gonna come tomorrow or Thursday, we're gonna look at it. He told me yesterday that they've had, Clay County and Union County have seen similar instances on their overlays where the thinner sections, again, it was thin concrete in those sections, they're seeing that happen now. We could start screaming and getting all excited, but we do have over 100 some miles of this, and we've got a location equivalent of 50 by 25 that's got a problem, so not really time to start waving flags and ringing bells yet, but
Yep.
something we need to figure out. If there's something, what we looked at was, I think, the concrete's bonded really well to the asphalt. It's just that the asphalt isn't bonded well to itself. The stuff that's coming up is there's an 1 3/4 overlay on top before we pave, and that is bonded really well, but it's not bonded well to what's underneath. But I don't know, it depends on where, if we see any more of these thin sections that start heaving again. Yesterday, you know, it didn't get very warm, but we can't figure out where the water's coming from either. We're gonna go and,
The water's a bigger problem probably than anything.
that stretch over by Pettifish's, we're gonna run a tile through the road. We're gonna take that out, run a tile with some clean rock in it, and then, we'll patch it back in. I think we might just do it to this other section too, just to see if that doesn't help keep the water. I don't know if the water's coming from the top or the bottom. I can't imagine it's coming from the top if we're bonded that well with the concrete, but, anyway, we're looking into that a little bit. Just to give you a heads up too, we have in Worth County, B&W Specialties, they're the sprayer and drainage districts and whatnot for Worth County. They're in our joint drainage district, spraying some willows down in the drainage ditch over by Carpenter. I can't remember, it's DD 44 or 11, I can't remember which one's over there. Is there a map up there?
Yeah, right
It's
up
the
here.
joint. 22. I think they're in DD 22. Just taking care of some brush that they didn't get done last year. Just to,
1 and 22.
yeah, just to give you a heads up on that. The union has voted to have their floating holiday July 5th. I think that's a Monday. When is that? Not Monday, that's Thursday. So since they're on the 10-hour days, that's a 4-day weekend now. So they voted for that.
5 day.
Well, would it be 5? Well, yeah.
5 day week.
5? Oh yeah, they get the 4th off. Well, yeah,
Yeah, 4, 5, 6.
right, they get the 4th off. We did hire a part-time kid this week to help out, and the same one we had when we were paving. He had some hours left, so if that's, we kinda just thought we could use some help with our sign inventory and whatnot, so we'll let him help and Jim out with that. Other than that, we're maintaining, we've got the excavator out. Did that driveway look okay? Have you run that route since we did that driveway? No, you didn't run it, or no, it doesn't look good?
No, I haven't run it.
Okay. So, we're doing some ditch cleans and
I'm
whatnot.
getting close there today, but not quite there.
So,
Did they clean that ditch up north of?
by McIntyre?
No, up by the county farm.
Yeah, they did that. I haven't gone up there to look at it yet, but they did that yesterday.
I came back there the same day at one, they'd been out there.
Yeah, they were hauling dirt yesterday, so they got that.
They're hauling the dirt away.
They hauled it to our yard since they wanted to plant that field.
Yeah.
And it wasn't gonna be very many loads, so I don't think it was too much, but. Other than that, we're doing maintenance, we're gonna put a quote package out for the striping again. And we're gonna do it earlier, but we're just gonna tell them payment won't be made till after July 1, so completion date of August 31st for paint. We've got about maybe 52 miles to do here, about the same as last year.
How long does paint normally last?
We're hoping we can get it 3-year cycle. Just all depends on how bad the winters are, and you know, if you're in a really high truck traffic area, turning kinda wears it too, but usually we'll get that. I mean, we hope to get more, and maybe with the concrete surfaces, we'll start seeing longevity with the paint too. But, so far that's what we bought. Seems to be on a 3 or 5-year cycle. We're gonna probably start, I don't know if I told you last week, we're gonna try to do our rock run alone by ourselves this year. And, we'll probably start that in mid-June, mid to late June. And then one other thing we need to schedule is a joint meeting with Worth County again for salary. Just to give you a heads up, I told them yesterday, and whenever, they wanted to wait till June, just to put it on a schedule, or list of to-do. And then I'll be gone Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week.
You're gonna be going when?
Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday next week. Probably a little bit of Monday afternoon.
Well, the flags on the speed limit signs look good.
Can you see them?
I went, yeah, they stick out there pretty good. I went through Carpenter yesterday.
Yeah. I haven't gone through McIntyre yet to see those or Totterville, but you can see them.
Good.
Anything else for discussion
Plan worked out, huh?
so far? What's that? Well, we didn't quite do it that way.
Oh,
but-
okay.
This wasn't engineered correctly?
We used a welder and a flat iron and bolted it right to the post. So. There's several ways to skin a cat. Just picked a different one.
Kathy Showalter wanted to, because we're trying to do this urban renewal update and getting county properties in, she wanted to ask about our county shed there at St. Ansgar. So that's why I put down that, you said lot 3 of the second edition up there is the one that you,
That's the one that's, you know, when you look at the Stacyville land, that's a little over, it's a little bit bigger than what we have now, but then you take the right of way and things out of it, and it's similar in size. And you look at that, there's plenty of room out there. There's a lot of room, in fact, in Stacyville we don't use. Now, granted, we have a leach field and stuff out there, but there's room that could be utilized yet, but we don't use. So, I mean, to go bigger than that, I don't think for a satellite shed we would need.
well then one thing too that got brought up, I went to pay my LP bill here last week and then was talking to the Johnson brothers. And so we were talking about county care and the big LP tank out there. And Johnson brothers happened to mention that that would be something they maybe would be interested in for diesel. And I got thinking, well, if they're interested in it for diesel, why wouldn't we maybe be interested in it for diesel? Because we talked about, you know, the St. Ansgar School would like to possibly go with us, and so if we can convert that to, and put it up there in that lot, why? So if Richie, you want to take a look
Yeah, I
at
don't know how many
talking
gallons
to,
that is, but
Oh, it's got to be a tanker. It's a rail car.
okay.
We were gonna try and talk somebody into cutting the ends out of it for you.
Make a pipe out of it.
Yeah.
That might serve us better as a fuel tank.
All right, yeah. You know, you put the other route up there, I mean, then that would be helpful that way.
Yeah, we can certainly look into that. And then what, you know, when we get natural gas out to our shop, then we've got, I think we at least have at least 2,000 gallon tanks, if not 3. I can't remember how many feed our shop. If there's 2, and then we've got 1 feed in the office. I did ask Adams Plumbing to get us a quote for an air conditioner since we didn't hook ours up last year, because it's kind of an old unit. And the A coil is a $300 unit. We put a new A coil in the furnace when we put the new furnace in. And if that air conditioner fails, then the Freon that's in the old unit doesn't get along with the new Freon and the new air conditioner, so you'd have to either get a new, they can't really flush out the A coil, so you'd have to get another $300 A coil. So I thought, well, I know that the air conditioner is going to be more than $300, but do you spend $300 again when you need to buy an air conditioner? Just bite the bullet and do it now. So I think we're just going to, that way the air conditioner and the furnace are the same age, and
Makes sense to me. I'd get it done before the hot weather sets in.
well, that's
Then
kind of,
that'd be
I
done.
forgot about it, and the other week I was going to turn the air on, and I saw those pipes hanging in the furnace room, thinking, yeah, well, maybe we can't do that yet.
Drag out the fan.
Well, no, it wasn't that bad yet, but I knew it could get worse.
got in the car and drove around for a while.
I pulled it up to the window and then made this duct.
It's a ductwork too.
Yeah. And then I can't think of anything else that's going on that's, the biggest thing is getting the paving association here to look at the roads.
Were they gonna come up here anyway?
Yeah, they were going to, and he was, the guy that was gonna present you that award, he was farming yet, so he still ain't got his beans in, so I don't know if we just forget about it and I'll give you the plaque, or whether he still wants to do it, but,
He's got a good week here, he can probably finish her up.
well, now he's making his trip up here tomorrow or Thursday. so.
Probably won't get any reward.
I'll give it to you, it just won't be anything formal.
Oh, Harry Isaac said that those guys really done a good job on that alley behind the fire station there.
Yeah, I didn't really know what they wanted, and
No,
then
apparently water was flowing the wrong direction up at Stacyville, and so he asked about,
it was going through yards. It was, and I think part of the problem is that fire station has gutters and it blows it right across the road into that yard, and if they could reroute their gutters, that would make a big difference too. Now they,
Went into a storm sewer or something.
well, that, they did ask last fall about helping them shoulder the road through town on the north side where we overlaid that. Now, we've got our edgers on our trucks yet. I told them that if they paid for the rock, it would probably help them, we'll just dump it and they can finish it, whether they wanna use their loader to spread it. I mean, once our edger trucks are pretty good at putting it down and not having to do much after that, but if there is some touch-up, I feel they can probably do that with their own forces, but I might have the guys I'll get in contact with the city and see if they could,
It's basically about from the elevator north or.
yeah, and then from to the church. I
Tracks
guess.
north or something.
Yeah.
Church.
You don't have Harry Isaac's number, do you?
pardon?
Do you have Harry Isaac's number? Phone number?
Harry?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
I was gonna call him about that, because he's the one that called about the shouldering.
Oh, I just gotta find it here in all of my. Oh, right here.
Harry Isaac.
83287.
Don't get them mixed up. Call him Des Moines.
Say when, maybe we'd have to talk to the city of St. Ansgar, but, right there on that intersection by the railroad tracks, by the high school, here last year they had to redo a sewer line or whatever, and there's about a block of gravel.
Mm-hmm.
And right in that intersection, there are so many potholes that are about 8-10 inches deep. As long as our boys are out with a blade, could they just possibly eliminate those potholes, blade that little
Well,
bit?
the sheds, they probably gotta drive right by there anyway.
They normally drive right over it when they come to
Yeah.
when they come from the west on 8th Street there.
Anyway, you keep my wife from driving on the gravel? Yeah, I'll see if the guys can swing through there.
Yeah, that's what I say, all I have to do is drop their blade about it.
The security lights up too, south of town.
Say, that is excellent.
That was $1,000.
Which one?
The one south of St. Ansgar at the public, or the
6 Mile Corner?
Yeah, the-
Oh, okay.
commuter parking area there. I haven't seen it at night, but
I haven't either.
It really lights the area up, and last night when I came home, then there was a vehicle sitting there, and I think that is gonna make a difference.
It's a good thing.
okay.
People use it.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense there.
Yeah, it took over 2 years for people to start using it. I think in the first 2 years, I've seen 2 vehicles. But boy, once they caught on
Well,
to,
and maybe now that there's a light there, it might,
Yeah, a dozen or more out there.
especially
yeah,
in the
there's
winter-
days that there's 6 of them sitting there.
especially in the wintertime when it's dark in the morning and dark at night, it'll make a difference. Anything else? Alright.
You put those flags in McIntyre too?
I think I kinda told them I wanted them in those
Okay.
locations, now I don't know if they got to them yet or not, but they're supposed to, and,
Totterville, Carpenter, and McIntyre.
right, where we've got the 25-mile-an-hour speed limits that people don't like to abide by. I guess that's all we can do, I mean, I'm not putting speed bumps in.
I think we gotta get traffic cameras.
I'm not getting traffic cameras. I got an old camera at home I could put on a post and not plug it in.
Well, you read in the paper about how much some of these municipalities and places are making off of those things every year.
A lot of the money goes to the camera people though,
Well,
too.
a lot of it does, but a lot of it goes back to the cities and the counties.
Yeah, I know there's controversy with those ones in Cedar Rapids, cause that
Well,
all
you know
goes
what, they
through.
just drive the speed limit.
Yeah, I
Obey
agree.
the law, law is no good unless you can enforce it. Law enforcement can't be everywhere, so.
It's true. Well, I seem to find them a lot. Not that I've been pulled over, but I see them around. so-
They find you, which is it?
Well, no, they don't find me.
There goes Rich, let's follow.
Hey, do you have that resolution for that level C? Can I get a copy? I think you might have sent it back. You could just email it or scan it or something. I think maybe you gave it to me in email.
Okay.
It might have got misplaced. I just want to put it in the file so 3 years ago we can resend it. Have a good week.
Yep.
Thanks, Rich. Coming over, or anybody for that mental health thing?
That's
I was gonna give you that,
I'll do that too, okay.
yeah. Why don't I do that first?
We'll go to item number 8, Mitchell County Historic Commission Preservation Plan update.
It's okay if I do it, I'll just do the mental health first, it's really short. We had a meeting last week at
Okay.
the North Iowa Mental Health Center, and you've probably read in the paper that the counties will be reimbursed if they're, do you know what your levy is here? If it's 4728. Every county would be, levy would be equivalent to 4728. Now, if yours is less than that, the state's gonna backfill it. They did vote the money to backfill it, $40 million. If yours is more than that,
You're talking on the mental health?
on
What our
mental health.
mental health levy is?
yes.
It's like $1.47.
Yeah, say it's
Well-
more than 40.
We're the highest of any of them in our region.
Every county would levy the equivalent of, well, the state's gonna backfill it, so.
Right. So
That's,
what they're saying is we'll drop our levy.
no, whatever your levy is, it stays that, and the state will make up the difference so that it's 4728.
Make up the
I
difference.
believe it when I see it.
They put $40 million in the budget. This is what I was told. They want, every county would levy the equivalent of 4728 per person in property taxes
Oh,
for
okay.
mental health
There you go.
services.
That makes sense. So you take your population times 4728,
Right,
then you have to adjust the levy to
right.
meet that.
And
That'd be
if
different.
you're paying less than that currently, the state will pay the difference. That was a big sticker. They wanted to make sure, because, you know, you can't make it on if the state has money. Counties, you can't just throw this, like you said, all those unfunded mandates. Counties levying more than 4728 could maintain their current levy or lower their property tax asking. So you should probably figure out what yours is, and there's also gonna use $20 million in a one-time federal money to help with the transition from a county-based mental health system to a statewide effort. And now some of the particulars, which might be of concern, is that there's only enough money left to run Medicaid until January. And they left
Bless
that
you.
for the
Thank you.
2013 legislature to appropriate, which would be over $100 million. It'll be needed very early in the session to keep Title 19 going. And so that's kind of a little bit of a concern. And then that 20 million that I mentioned before is still sitting in the CHIP fund, and the legislature must draw on that to bail out deficit spending by counties on non-Title 19 services occurred before July 1st. Now, either that or providers like the North Iowa Mental Health Center will have to wait months for payments on delivered services, or counties will have to create waiting lists. So they kind of passed mental health reform. They left this big chunk of Title 19 funding. They're gonna let next year's legislature figure that out. So but it did go through, and my understanding is they're gonna create some new boards. They're gonna have these larger areas, like maybe 15 county areas. I don't think they've sorted that out, but probably one of you will be asked to serve on that board whenever it gets set up. I think that's all being worked out. You know, you won't be on we'll be one of the North Iowa Mental Health Center will be one of the providers. That once things are in place, then the CPCs like Bob Lincoln will decide where they're gonna buy their services, and they'll buy them, or they won't buy them from us, or they'll get them wherever. That's as things work forward. I guess the brightest spot was the $40 million that they funded so that, to buy out that Title 19. There's also gonna be a 2% increase that they'll allow for fees for Title 19, which should help. And for home health care providers, the increase, in January, the elderly waiver increase cap will be $1,300 a month. So that's, I think there's a lot of stuff that's still, this comes from, I think they hired lobbyists, actually, the community mental health centers to go down and kind of like lobby for legislation that would be in the best interest of providing the mental health care. And they said, once they've sorted through the bill, they'll send more information. But that's what they've sorted through so far. I thought you guys would like to know. I'm just, my own experience with the North Iowa Mental Health Center, you know, like my son who has to use it, this is not just from him. I can, the read testimonials that this telehealth is working really well. One parent told me that her child had been to 2 other mental health centers and misdiagnosed as bipolar, and over there, it was the telehealth. The provider there said, I don't think that's your problem. Have you ever been tested for seizures? And that was really the issue. So, I mean, that was good to hear that. I think the patients are getting better care, and it's more efficient. Last week, we were like 15 minutes late for Casey's appointment because he's got dropped, you know, between the seat. We couldn't find him. They'd given his appointment to someone else. So he said, well, come back at noon. And so as he's coming out to tell me that, and his phone rings and they said, we just had a cancellation. Can you come at 9:45? So he got in 30 minutes, which tells me they're doing a better job of people come in and need to see somebody. Someone's not there, they get them in. There's cancellations, they're trying to fill them. We also have 2 nurses that just completed training. They'll be, what do they call them? They can prescribe drugs. They'll be, this is gonna be a real asset for the mental health center since we're still trying to recruit psychiatrists. We have 1 part-time right now, and we're still trying to recruit, but that will really help, because our director said you make a lot more money off those nurses anyway, because you don't have, I mean, the psychiatrists, what they're offering is over $200,000 to get a psychiatrist to come and serve in rural Iowa. And these are people that need a visa, so they have to work somewhere, you know, so they can work up to get their green card. You know, there's just, I don't know why we're not pumping out enough psychiatrists, I guess. But on the up and up, things, you know, I think services are improving there, and we paid for the nurses' tuition, and the stipulation was for every year of tuition we paid for you, you're locked in for a year here. They're each locked in for 3 years. And if they don't, then they have to pay back the tuition money, so hopefully. And they're good nurses. So I know Stan probably knows a little more. He used to sit through those meetings.
Now, did you say the state's gonna take it over and not the counties?
They're setting up
Go
these,
with that county plan that Bob was talking about?
well, they're setting up these multi-county regions. See, and Bob was, I think they
You're
sort of
trying to
used a lot,
regionalize.
I think Bob sort of influenced their redesign of mental health quite a bit. So they're gonna, you know, other,
I think what they're talking about is the state would take back the Medicaid portion.
right, that's what, you know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hopefully they'll get that, you know, they sort of we're good till the end of 2012, 2013, the new legislature has to come up with $100 million to continue funding Medicaid. So I hope that all works out. I guess it remains to be seen. So that's what's happening with the bottom line is I don't think it's gonna affect whatever you're paying. Unless you're paying more, you'll have to figure out what your county levy is, and if you're paying more than that, you could lower your property tax asking. You don't have to, but you could. That's.
Was there any talk about DHS taking over mental health?
No, I don't, you know, I haven't read any of that. I think they're gonna create these regions. There'll be like maybe 15 county regions, and then there'll be a board for that region. I'm not, that's a little bit murky yet, I think, as the details of the legislation become more apparent. But I was hearing something like they're gonna create another board that'll be a different board that, you know, each of the supervisors from that region would have to serve on, but they haven't got that set up yet. I'm sure once they get the details worked out, you guys will hear about it. Okay, so any more questions? That's all I know about the mental health. As I get more of these, if, you know, Andy sends me a more detailed email, I'll just forward it to you guys about what the,
He usually comes to our CSS meetings.
okay, so,
I'm sure we'll get an update next week sometime from him too, so.
yeah, I mean, it's, as they kind of read through that and as they implement it, how is it going to be, you know, for us, quite honestly, at the North Iowa Mental Health Center, well, you know, we've been spending more than we've been making for quite a while. We have figured we have about 18 more months of life left in us if something doesn't change. But I think getting these 2 nurses on board, that should really change. We have really improved our client care. People don't have to wait. I mean, there was a 6-week wait to see a psychiatrist before, and now people can get in pretty quickly, within a week or 2 for that first visit. And then, like I said, you know, for the follow-up, they're just doing them, it's working out really well. The telehealth is working out, I think even better than we imagined. And I keep saying, well, it'd be nice if we could get telehealth like we've got the facility here, so that down the road, like maybe 1 day a week or a couple times a month, you know, we could do it here. We've got the ability to do it here so that people from Mitchell County wouldn't have to get over to Mason City for appointments. So, I mean, that would be, I think they have that was through a Magellan grant. Several counties have these ability to do the telehealth. So in the future, I think it'd be really nice if we could have that here so people wouldn't have to go so far for those appointments.
They put that in over here, didn't
They did, that was a part of Magellan grant.
they? Right.
But part of it has to be staffed with
But there's nobody at the other end.
well, you know, the other psychiatrists we had refused to do telehealth, but then they discontinued our contract, so, and we are now purchasing telehealth. We'd like to get some psychiatrists on board so we could be providers of telehealth to other counties and sell that service. That would be, and that's sort of the dream. But first we have to get, we do have one good psychiatrist on board. He's a VA psychiatrist, and he's working 1 day a week with us now. He's sort of phasing out. He's going to part-time, and I think he might increase his time. We have a little clinic in Forest City, and that's where he lives. So I think he's coming to Mason City 1 day a week, so. You know, at least we have, because for our nurses, we have to have a psychiatrist on site to be their supervisor, so we at least can use him for that.
Okay.
But things are looking up there.
Good.
Now, we've got, this is a very busy month. At Mona, we had 27 people on the 6th, and I said if we had 8 people that weren't commission members, I would call it a success. And if we had 20, it'd be a smashing success. We had 27 people, and it was a very nice program. We skipped Mother's Day weekend. I think I gave you all one of these. Maroa is next weekend for people that don't have a graduation, and we've got Gail and Docken lined up to talk about the cabin. Muriel Johnson and Eleanor Bauer will be at the schoolhouse, and then we'll go tour the church and have refreshments. That's this weekend. And then on Tuesday, Leah will be coming to present the final report to your meeting, and then at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I've been sent out an invitation to all the people who participated in our Planning for Preservation project to see the final report, to come to the NIAC room. We'll have some refreshments. I found out I can get those little spines at Staples for, like, it was real cheap, so. But I don't know, like printing that many, she said it might be 150 pages. So we should talk about, would that be, you don't want to burn out your copy, or if we wanted to make 15 or 20 copies, maybe that should be something we should send out. What do you think, Lowell?
Yeah. 'Cause I don't.
What Staples charge for something like that? They probably bind it in the whole works for you.
Should I ask them to get a quote
Yeah.
from them?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
that might be, because, you know, that's, I thought that's like too much production. It's one
Oh,
thing
yeah,
to run
take
off.
15, 20 copies, run down to school, try to get that all.
Right, I'll call Staples today and ask them how much would a 150-page report, but it's when can she get it to me? I might not have them all done and bound. She hasn't sent me the digital copy yet. So I'll ask Leah if she could get it to me ASAP, then I could get it to Staples. So I'll call them today and see what it would cost. And I was thinking we need at least 10, and that would be for all of the school libraries, all of the county libraries, one for here stay at the courthouse. That would take 10 just to do that.
Does the media do something like that?
What?
The copying,
No, I mean binding and making them.
they don't do that here anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, they used to, but I don't think
You
they
can
do
get that.
anymore.
You can do that over at the newspaper in Riceville.
Just tops, do it.
There you go. I'd rather see.
Oh, do they?
Keep
I'll
the
call
money,
them.
Keep it in.
I'll
the
call
county.
them too, yeah.
That's how we're going.
It's Howard Mitchell. It's Howard Mitchell.
I don't know, but the building's in Howard.
Yeah.
We won't hold it against them.
No, I don't.
That's yeah.
Getting
because
technical here.
I was getting like concerned about when she was gonna get it to me and then just getting it printed, so if the newspaper in Riceville could help with that, that would be a big,
That'd be great.
Yeah, and I was thinking just something like those little, you know, little plastic spines, as opposed to purchasing binders that's expensive.
Get the clear plastic. on the
Yeah.
front.
Yeah, just get a thing like that and,
They have all that stuff.
okay, that'd be great. And then we have one more event, two more actually, you guys, hand delivered a letter from Mary Blake for the Julia Addington flag raising and dedication of the Stacyville Museum. Well, she's not calling it that, I'm calling it like her grand opening, because we'll go from hopefully the weather's nice, we'll go from the cemetery to the museum. And then she thought she'd serve refreshments at the Chatterbox since it's empty right now, you know, that everybody could sit down, and she owns the Chatterbox, so. That's gonna be on the 27th, and on the 28th, I met with Donna Ziegler, took me a while to track her down, from Union Presbyterian Church. It used to be German Union Presbyterian Church. I helped her translate some of the old records lists. We found, oh, that list is born, and that list is baptized, and this is names. So some of the records were in German, some were in English. It's kind of interesting. She's copied them all. She has 14 binders of records, which she hauls down there every Memorial Day weekend so people can come and look up baptisms and births and burials. And she's a very interesting lady, so we'll have a program at the Union Presbyterian Church on Memorial Day from 2 to 4. So that will kind of wind up our Preservation Month activities. Now I wanted to make just one more appeal for you to consider that accepting the grant. I know you voted not to do it, but since you haven't notified the state, they're still holding the money open in case you might reconsider. And you know, Keffer Overton is willing to do it, but if you don't want to go with Keffer Overton, if you sent them a letter, Berglund and Cram said that they would be still honor this, you know, proposal that they made the offer to do. My only suggestion is to move the finish date back 2 months since it'd be starting 2 months later. So I think it would quiet a lot of the discontent around the courthouse issue in the community. I just think it would be, just accept the grant, let it be evaluated, and continue with getting your proposal for a new courthouse. You know, they don't have to be opposed. You know, Stan had a thought, maybe somebody else could use the building. Well, if that were to happen, you'd need to know what would it take to refurbish the building, because could whoever you would hand it off to be able to do that or not? That would be something you'd want to know. And I just think it would provide some useful information and to help in your decision making. I think it would quell a lot of the discontent, and you know, and go ahead with your plans for looking at new designs also. It's just a suggestion. You guys can talk about it. It's really up to you. I can only make suggestions and give you some advice if you ask me. And I did give you that list. The list of architects was one that, what's her name, Paula Moore given me, and I thought if you're not happy with any of the architects you got or whatever, she sent me, I didn't even look it over, but she sent me a 7-page list I asked Lowell to pass off to you.
I got it, I haven't looked through it.
Yeah, well, that would be, you know, if for any reason you weren't happy with whatever you got, you know,
No, I
it's
think
more
I'm
resources.
Pretty happy with some of the interest that we've gotten so far.
Okay. Any future things though, then you'd have a list.
Pardon?
If you had any future projects,
right.
then you'd have a list.
And I talked to Ben Hildebrand from the state AIA, and he says, if you do not like anything that you see, he says give his office a call, and they would be more than willing to help us
Good.
along the project. He says that it was the right number to send out in the first place, but it's kind of funny how that gets all over the state of Iowa, because now we've gotten architects from Mankato to West Des Moines to Waterloo, and then they're all interested. So,
Okay, thank you.
Well, did you have any response on the thought about maybe pursuing accepting the grant? I just think it would quell a lot of the noise and the discontent around the courthouse. It would, I think people would be more willing to let go of it and let it go to rest, you know, if you had sort of just looked at that.
to your consolation, I had met with Scott Hatfield. He came last week, and we toured the courthouse, and before we even got to the attic, he told me, he said, I wished I would've brought my preservation people along. And then he left me a note and said, he said, it's worse than I thought it was. So, I mean, here's an architect that also has a preservation crew telling me that this is worse than I thought it was, so. And every time I go through, I can see another, one more
But
thing
like I
that
said,
concerns me.
so people sort of saw that and thought, oh yeah, look at that, I think people would be more, you know, it would help quell the, you know, people have attachment to it, it's like, you know, you did your due diligence with it. You know, Stan had this idea, well, maybe it could be the museum or something, but you know, people, you'd wanna know, if it was $10 million, you'd say, are you able to raise this much money to fix it up? You know,
If you
it would
remember
just be,
last
I
summer,
don't know what the final number would be,
when
I'm just
Stan
throwing
stopped-
out numbers.
I don't wanna argue about it, but when we had Stan Stallsmith come over, and his estimate just to do the evaluation on the building was $80,000.
Yeah, but remember Stan Stallsmith, he didn't have experience with historic structures.
Did you read his resume?
I did, but not with historic buildings.
Did you read his resume?
I did,
Okay,
I did.
he's a historical preservation architect.
But we,
Okay,
Engineer,
we're not here to argue this
Okay.
point
We
again.
ain't got the
I-
time
no,
anyway.
just-
gotta
I mean,
We're
work.
not
just-
here to argue,
I
and
know,
that's
I'm not-
exactly what you wanna do again.
I
is
do
bring
not
up
wanna
the-
argue, I do not,
Okay,
I'm
then
just making,
Please be quiet, we're gonna move on.
okay,
Okay.
then, can I ask you just
No,
to send
No.
the State
No.
Historic Preservation Office a formal letter rejecting the money so that they can
Well, we're supposed to
release
do
it to
that.
someone
Okay.
else.
So
That
you
was
can-
all.
You prepare it, bring it next week, and that's what Bob
send
can
it
sign.
off. Item number 10, items of note, meetings attended?
I had two. Last Tuesday night, I attended the county conservation meeting. At that time, County Conservation Board was informed that Mary Jo Berkran felt that there was some additional problems. She had a handwritten letter of resignation that she had left on Milt's desk that morning. Milt wanted that information to be kept at that one room, and that, which, I mean, truthfully, that was public information when I believe, and
Yeah, I see a copy of it.
so I mean, I don't go along with that, but because she submitted a second letter of resignation, the board really had no choice but to accept it, and
It's too bad.
and I really feel bad about that, because I think she was a very, very good naturalist, and not sure exactly where all of the conflicts are coming out there, but if it was with some of the personnel, or if it was the public itself, or a combination of both, like I say, I have no idea.
When
But
I was out there for that meeting last, I forget when it was, with the youth group and everything, she seemed very content and happy and loved what she was doing. She had no intentions of moving up the ladder or taking Milt's place or anything like that. And I just wondered why, does she have other plans or anything?
Not that I'm aware of, and I haven't been able to talk to her since, but
Yeah, I haven't seen her either.
like I say it. The other meeting I had was last night, was Council of Governments, and as I mentioned earlier, they talked about flood monies, the 8.8 million, but more importantly, 10 o'clock this morning, there's the Connect Iowa meeting. And Connect Iowa is where they want to try to have every town and every county in the state of Iowa. Basically, we should have shovel-ready projects if we're trying to obtain industry coming. And there's quite a complicated set of criteria that we would have to meet. You have to have your archaeological studies pre-done, you have to have all of this paid for pre-done. They really feel that there aren't going to be that many counties, communities that are going to meet this criteria. The state is supposedly going to help if there's areas that we're deficient in. They're going to help us try to get to be a fish up to par. Part of the problem again is the state is not going to apparently send out any leads if you're not one of these completed communities. So It sounds like Omnitel here and also in the northwest part of the county, that would be Winnebago Co-op Telephone Association, WCTA. Both of them are very interested in helping on this project. And they can see benefits for trying to get us certified for Connect. And so one of the problems again that we have is meetings at 10 o'clock this morning that NICOG should have really contacted us, asked is there a conflict in that? And I mean, you know, here we are having our meeting. And well, I asked Joel if he wouldn't, because as long as he's on the Economic Development Board, as long as he's on the Economic Development Board, if he would wander on over there. So I think we should be able to wrap this up here and that.
Yeah.
So that was my 2 meetings anyway.
Well, like I said, I met at Scott Hatfield, and then Lowell and I met with the Second Judicial Judge Drew, and went over a few things on, you know, they want to be involved with any design of the courthouse, and I feel that's probably correct. We need to involve them. That's about it. They commended us on our efforts. So those were my 2 meetings last week.
I had the Board of Health on Thursday. We had the North Iowa Community Action Organization was there, Lisa Copeland and Peg Funk, and they deal with all of the things that they handle. They gave a presentation on everything, maternal health, family planning, child health. I Smile, that's I think Peg Funk's forte there. Dental and oral care for 0 to 12-year-old children. The expenses and revenues are both just a little under right now. County health rankings came in from, we're 10th in the state for being a healthy county, which is a good thing. State has not funded the tobacco grant. They took that out for some reason or other. And last night, this was one meeting. Last night, for about 4 hours, we went over the RFPs for Early Childhood Iowa, FMC Early Childhood Iowa, and from all of the providers, Lutheran services, et cetera, et cetera. So that was basically a workshop. That was it for my 2 this week. Item B, manure management plan updates.
Okay, got one for Erickson, Kep8, South Farm, South Letter, in section 24 of Wayne Township, owned by Iowa Select Farms. Burnett Tip 4 Nursery Unit, also owned by Iowa Select Farms, section 23 of Ultrano. And Blong South, owned by Jim Koenigs, in section 36 of Stacyville.
Okay, so noted. Item 11, MOU.
Basically, again, Mark Walk looked over the memorandum of understanding. He had a couple of concerns, like we mentioned earlier. Hopefully we'll get that in the next day or 2 if Mark has a chance to look over. I mean, last week we already passed that once he gives the okay that the chair can sign it. It's basically, like he said, a non-binding document anyway, but it kind of lays out, and for whatever reason, they felt we all ought to have a memorandum of understanding signed in order to hire a individual to come up with the criteria for submitting this pipeline to bids. So that's really the basis behind it. So other than that, that's it.
Okay, anything else for the good of the cause?
Meeting on the gas line, not 12:30, it's at 11:30 this morning,
In St. Ansgar,
in St. Ansgar, so,
at the
at the rescue squad.
11:30.
Yeah.
Okay, nothing else for the good of the cause, we'll stand adjourned at 9:37.